Hi, my name's Dave, and I'm playing Kerbal Space Program. It's an indie game made by Squad out of Mexico. It's their first video game, and I've been telling folks about it and figured I'd play a little bit and show them what it does. I'm going to start a fresh new career game and just work my way through the tech tree. So I am running one mod. It's a visual enhancements mod. It's my first video. I put a link in the description if I figure out how to do that. But we'll start a new game. And Dave. And I'm going to select a different flag. I always kind of prefer the stock retro flag. And make sure it's marked for career. It's still under development. It's kind of hard to see with the clouds, but this is version 0.23. So we'll get started. Okay, the first scene you get, this is the Space Center. You have the space plane hangar and the runway, launch pad, and the vehicle assembly building. There's the research and development that shows our tech tree. And these are the parts that we start with. These are the only parts we have at the beginning. We have 0 science, and this thing has a whole tree that goes all the way out that you unlock by spending your science points. But first we have to earn science points. So there's a stack decoupler and other stuff, and then you can also go into the science archives to give you a list of all the planets and their moons, and it'll show what experiments you've done and where, so you can kind of track your progress, which is really cool. That was added the last update. So the recruitment center, I guess, you start off with your primary 3 veterans, Jeb, Bill, and Bob, and you can tell by their orange suits, and then you can come and recruit an endless supply of victims. So you can hear they're just kind of hanging out in the background. So we'll start with these 3, and we'll come back to this if we need more. So this is the tracking center. This will give you a list of all your ships, missions, everything that you have going on in the solar system. The reason I like the cloud mod is just how the planet looks. Without this, I mean, it still looks cool, but clouds just kind of make it pop. I did take out the folder for the city lights because they're kind of busy on the night side. So we'll start in the vehicle assembly building, and we're going to build our first rocket. So you can select all your different parts up here. You have to start with some sort of command pod. We don't have any probes or anything yet, but you can maneuver the pod anywhere, and that's your root part. Your first part is your root part, and everything builds off of that. So we need to get a little bit of science. So we have fuel tank, liquid fuel and oxidizer, and if you right click, when you click on it, if you hover over it, right click, there we go, it'll give you a lot more information, and then you right click and it'll go back. This is a solid fuel booster. We're not going to use that on this mission, just some fuel tanks. I think 6 is good to start. I know that there's other players that what is that, 6? Yeah, other players that you can hook these on down here. You can run this, and right before it stops, if you fire this motor off, this one will blow up and this one will keep going, but there's no decoupler there. That's, you do it by explosion, and that seems kind of wrong to me, so I'm not going to do that. For science, we are going to get a antenna that'll allow us to transmit science. And then for safety, we need a parachute on our capsule. Oops. There we go. So we don't have any launch clamps, we don't have any decouplers, anything like that. We're going to get started with this. So we're going to call this the Mercury 1, because our mission is going to be similar to the Mercury program, to try and determine if somebody can live in space, if we can launch a rocket, first a suborbital launch, and then our next launch will be an orbital launch. So this is our staging. We're going to adjust this as we don't have a decoupler. We don't want the parachute coming on right away. So it always starts from the bottom and then goes up, and during launch you press your space bar and that'll launch the rocket. It'll also go through all the different stages. Action groups we don't really need right now, and crew. We already have it crewed with Jeb, and we'll start off with him. So that's where we're at. Action groups, you can custom set your numbers to perform different actions, like toggle the antenna. The antenna is going to work automatically for us though, for what we need to do. So I'm going to save this rocket and we're going to launch. Okay, so here we are at the launch pad. We got all sorts of information over here that we utilize to help us with our launch. So right now I'm going to press T and turn on my SAS. That's my stability system. It stands for something. I don't remember what it is. And shift and control as you throttle up and down. So we're going to go full throttle. Our SAS is on and our stage is unlocked. So we're going to launch. Ready, set, go. So right away we're going to take a crew report and we're going to transmit that science. Our resources up here tell us what we have for electric charge, liquid fuel, and oxidizer, and that'll give us a bunch of information. So we used up some electric charge, but this rocket motor generates electricity, so it's recharged. So we're accelerating at a pretty good clip. This is a suborbital flight. So right now we're going straight up to get through the thickest part of the atmosphere. We get about right there, about 10,000 meters. We're going to pitch 90 degrees over and launch our suborbital flight. We're launched. If you press M, you can go into the map view, and that gives you this information. Now when we pitch, this line's going to shoot way over there. So let's see where we're at. Oh, we're way behind. So I'm going to do a gravity turn. We'll do another crew report. We're in the upper atmosphere, so we're going to transmit that science as well. Our fuel state is getting pretty low, but we're accelerating pretty good. I can't build a rocket on the first mission that can get into orbit, but right now I don't see the purpose in rushing or running around. Some people go out there and spam and try and get as much science as they can. Okay, so we're out of fuel. I'm going to press X, and that instantly cuts off the throttle. We're going to see if we can do another crew report. We don't get any science yet. We're still in the upper atmosphere, so we're going to reset that. Now we're out of electric charge, so I think we only have enough charge to do one more crew report. I'm going to turn off the SAS because it does utilize electricity. And now at 69,000 to 70,000 meters is space. So we'll do our space crew report, and that gives us 5 science, and we're going to transmit that now. And you can see it uses our electrical charge, and it's not recharging as we don't have anything to generate electricity. We have no batteries, we have no solar panels, and we're out of rocket fuel. So we can look and see what our orbit is. That is our suborbital flight. So we came out pretty far. We came out almost 210,000 meters on this. So you got to remember your most effective best orbit is going to be tilting to the east, which utilizes the planet's rotation and gives you a little bit of extra delta V. So on this nav ball, this yellow marker is our prograde. That's the direction we're always heading. So wherever you see that indicator, that's the direction your ship is going, regardless of where you're facing. If we rotate our ship, and you can see we're using electrical charge, that's because the reaction wheels use electricity. You see this indicator here, that's your retrograde. That is the direction you're heading away from. So right now, our ship is pointing almost to retrograde. So we're actually traveling in this direction, but we're pointed a different way. So learning the nav ball was probably hardest for me, just to get my orientation and have everything working right. So Jeb seems to be doing okay. We're still climbing in altitude. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our map view and we're going to hit our time accelerate. The comma and the period buttons on the keyboard will accelerate and decelerate time. So you can see how fast we move there. And right now we're at our apoapsis. We're going to go in and see if we could do another crew report. And we'd get nothing new. So we'll reset that experiment. But we're way high up right now. So I'm going to time accelerate some more until we start to enter the atmosphere. And here we go. We're starting to enter the atmosphere. So we're going to rotate over to prograde. And we're in the upper atmosphere. Crew report, still nothing. So if you get a first rocket, you can get into orbit. If you get into a polar orbit, an EVA, you can spam biome EVA information, and that'll get you a lot of science. But like I said, I'm in no rush. We're starting to get some re-entry effects here. You can see the rocket starting to, it kind of automatically orients itself to that. So we're hurtling down at a pretty good clip. So now we're going supersonic. We're going to pop our chute, slow us down a little bit before we get into the splashdown in the ocean. So we can do a crew report over the water. We're going to keep that data instead of transmit it because we don't have enough electricity to transmit. You can see Jeb is pretty happy. He's one of the crazier ones. If you see Jeb start freaking out, then something is really going wrong. So we're coming into splash down here, and we'll get our first batch of science. Okay, our chute is open. I'm going to accelerate, and you can see this changes color. That's because it does physics acceleration, physics time warp, and so it still applies the physics to your craft and to everything. And if you're not careful, you can really hurt it because stuff gets accelerated, motion gets accelerated, and it can tear the spacecraft completely apart. So there's our splashdown. We brought Jeb back safe, and we're going to recover our vessel. Sorry about that. Mailman came and knocked on the door. They don't have to do that very often, but they need to be designed for something. So this is the science that we got from our mission. We've earned 23 science. So that's enough to get started for our Mercury 1. So we'll go straight to the technology part of the science building, and we're going to unlock our first set of parts, and that opens up 3 more options. So we have 18 science left. A Sepratron and a larger solid fuel booster is 20 science. We don't have enough for that one. Stability, we got a radio decoupler, a winglet, and a nose cone, and that's 18 science. We could get that one. There's also a smaller motor that has a greater ISP, which is its fuel use. Let's see, can I click on that? I can't in point. But if you look at the information, the engine ISP is 300, that means in the atmosphere, the ASL, and then 390 in the vacuum. So it gets very good gas mileage, you could say. There's also a set of landing struts. We're not going to be using those really anytime soon. And then also a radio mount parachute. So, but we do like that motor. But this one has the radio decouplers. And this one has larger fuel tank. Mystery goo for science. It's a item that you use to unlock more science that will give you more parts on the tech tree. So I am going to, since our next flight is going to be our orbital flight, I'm going to unlock this one first for 15, and that leaves us 3 science left. Oh, and we get to see what's next. So let's see, this, we get a winglet, a new cockpit, and a probe, and a reaction wheel. These really help out controlling your rocket. And then down here, oh, batteries. Batteries are really important, but that's 45 science. So that's a significant amount of science. So then we can go into our science archives and see what we did. So we did 4 crew reports from the upper atmosphere, flying over the shores, in the water, in space near Kerbin, and we recovered a vessel after a suborbital flight. So flying low, flying high, and in space low. So that's pretty cool. There's nothing for the moon. That's our primary target through this series, I hope. And then if we do pretty good, we might continue that and move on. So back into here, exit out here, and we'll build another rocket and go on a orbital flight. So come on back if you want to see that. Thanks for watching.